You are now listening to For All Nerds Show, a podcast about geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. For All Nerds Show is a member of the Loudspeakers Network, where we always say rest in peace to our founder, Combat Jack.
For All Nerds is hosted by Tatiana King and DJ Benhameen.
For All Nerds Show is powered by our listeners. Everything we do, from our podcasts, live events, our website, are all independently funded. Please continue to support us through our Patreon page at patreon.com/forallnerds.
Welcome to For All Nerds. And welcome, Internet, to another episode of For All Nerds, the podcast where we discuss geek and pop culture from the perspective of people of color. It is I, Tatiana King, your Earth Witch, here along with my favorite divination witch, Portia P. And we are here today to talk all things Agatha All Along. But before we get there, you know we got to do a little something that we always do, which is our AKAs. As mentioned, I am Tatiana King, AKA Tatiana Kane the Conqueror, AKA Wicked Witch of the Westview, Wanda Vision, Agatha Darkness is Spreading, Coldest Winter Soldier Ever, and Doc Aki. And as mentioned, I'm here with the legendary Portia P. If you watch a little show we have called Castle Black, probably our most popular show ever, you will recognize this beautiful face here. She is our Grand Maester, as well as many other things. But please, Portia, introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. It's Portia Patterson, a.k.a. Prancy Drew, a.k.a. Captain Claimed It, a.k.a. Portia, the grown-ass witch, a.k.a. Mother of Modern Thoughts.
Oh, I thought you said Mother of Modern Thoughts. And I was just like, okay, I can see that one too. You can have both. You can have both. You can have both. Yes. So as mentioned, we are here to discuss. We have the first 4 episodes of Agatha All Along. We are going to keep this particular review condensed to just episodes 1 and 2. By the time you hear this, episodes 1 and 2 will be out. It drops on 18th of September 2024. And we have words, we have thoughts, we have notes, we have review. First, before we get into any of the details, any of the potions and lotions and all that stuff, tell me overall what you think or what you thought about Agatha All Along, episodes 1 and 2 so far.
I think, something that, I'm not sure if everyone knows about me. Let's just spread it around. Girl, I'm a fan of magic and fantasy, and witches always kind of do it for me unless you mess them up. And I was so glad to see that they didn't, for me, these first 2 episodes are not even close to messing up witchcraft. I feel like they do a good thing with setting things up. And it was kind of funny how they characterized the witches of being really good at giving each other a good read. As soon as you meet each other, they're like, so you're over here with these busted nails again. And it's just hilarious. So yes. Worked for me.
Yes. No, I agree with you. I felt that just the overall energy of the show is very quick-witted. It is very, yes, girl, it is very, I'll read you down in a heartbeat. I am powerful. I have powers. And you are going to know. It gave me what I wanted to see if I what episode of, remember that show that we all used to watch, Ryan Murphy series, what the hell, American Horror Story, okay? And remember the Coven season?
Yep. That was the first one. Television has not done witches a lot of justice. Coven was my at least I got this kind of moment, and then they fried it, but it was giving me something for a moment.
To a degree, Coven did that. So that's why I was there. Let's go. That's why I was even in the building, to be honest with you. But that idea of and Gabourey Sidibe was in there too. But that idea of just having literally a coven of multicultural women of all and of all backgrounds, economics, things like that, even though they're all, most were hundreds of years old anyway. But the point is that the fact is you have a group of girls like some of them's a little bit sassy, some of them's a little bit quiet, some of them are the supreme, as we saw. And I mentioned that because I felt that same situation here with Agatha All Along. And interestingly, I had a while ago, I had forgot about Agatha even coming out as a series. And I was just like, oh yeah, it's here or it's coming. And I'm just like, but do we care anymore, right? WandaVision and microwave age was a long time ago. And all of that Agatha Long music and everything we loved about her, that sentiment has, I think, subsided a while ago as well. But I was actually surprised how I was just like getting back in tune with this character. And then this new world building that they're doing. And I think the fact that it's more of a newer, different Marvel view of a world than what we've seen, which is also what's drawn me to the series.
Yeah, I think Marvel could have really taken a couple different steps. I was hoping that they would ground and rooted in the magic and witchcraft of it all and not really spend too much time giving us like world building, like what they tend to do with like TV Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
And
or like tying it to the other characters, like right
like
away.
giving us like an Agent Woo kind of like cameo or something like that. Just to be like,
okay.
oh, you know what I mean? Because he was there in WandaVision, so
yeah.
you know what I mean? Like
I mean, they make it clear about what it is. It is in the MCU world, however, it is not it's not the typical formula.
And it's also like you've already been here before. Like you've already been to Westview. So you like how much do you really need? Like you know what the setup is.
That's right.
So I appreciated that they didn't try to like over explain that. They were just like, she's still in Westview. She's still in New Jersey. And even in the journey that she's going through, she's not really left New Jersey yet, which is kind of hilarious in the way that like someone clocks her tea and is like, because I think it's Rio. She's trying to break Agatha out of this like vision of like what she thinks the world is right now. And she's like, so are you from here? Have you always of course you're a hometown girl solving this case. Like you've always lived here, right? And like Agatha's like,
Yeah. And I like the point you're making about how they've done the setup, because they enter you, they pretty much are like, look, here's some background, but then now we got to move on. And I like that. I hate when, to your point, I hate when shows, especially Marvel shows, have to like throw it in your face. Like, hey, did you know we're friends with Captain Planet and Captain Marvel, and we're friends with this person, that person. I mentioned Captain Planet because Captain Planet's anniversary was just a day or so ago, but that's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say is I do like the setup. I do like that they explain, like, to what you said earlier, it's been 3 years and homegirl is still stuck in her own thing. And maybe you can help me understand this. So like at the end of WandaVision, when Wanda defeated her and took all her powers and all that stuff, did she just then put Agatha in another spell and let her like I know all of the residents were essentially taking out the hex, and now they live in there trying to recuperate themselves, and they're in the same place, but they're not in this fake world anymore. But it seemed like, and I don't remember, but it seemed like Agatha in her house was just stuck in the TV shows.
Well, I don't even think that it's Agatha's house. I think it's just Agatha. I think whenever we
so she was tripping
because they were on the like lawn thing where like Agatha's like on a bench, and so like there's a cut scene. Like they literally like didn't air the scene, and I happened to see this because I was watching
in the trailer
of Agatha, like the WandaVision.
Oh, in WandaVision, okay.
Yeah. Where Agatha's sitting on the bench wearing like her like 60s-ish kind of, well, no, it's probably like more modern, but still kind of very like housewife put together kind of fit. And she's like flirting with the EMT who's like checking on her, and she's just like not at all Agatha. She's just Agnes.
Not lucid.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so whenever Wanda left her, she put, I think what she said to Wanda was something along the lines of, like, now you have an opportunity to live through what you put me through, basically. And she put Agatha through the like thing. So
she wasn't a spell.
She was in a spell, and it seems like it's the same spell in that like she's living through television genres. And so when she got I don't know how many genres she went through to get to true crime. But it's funny because like how her neighbors react whenever she finally does, like at the end of episode 1. Is it? Yeah, it's the end of episode
It's at
1
the end
where
of,
she
end of episode 1, yeah.
finally like comes out of it. They're like, "Yeah, girl, you've been through some phases," and it was like, "Dang, how many phases has she gone
You've been in some TV shows, my God. Listen, I was at first concerned because I was like, oh, I don't like this. Like, well, first of all, shout out to Katherine Hahn, who's an incredible actress. Like she, the deliberate overacting and the deliberate, gritty, as they mentioned, true crime series. And I was just like, I really hope they don't, because I was like, this don't feel real, right? So I was like, something's off, one, because I was like, it's overacting, right? And then I was like, but I really hope they don't stay in this fake world for too long, because it was getting boring. It was getting boring fast. And I was like, y'all got to pull out of this. And thankfully, right when I was at my tipping point, that's when they pulled out of this fake world. But yes, her kind of just continuing that path of being stuck in a show and it interacting really weird with everybody else. And everyone else playing the roles with her, maybe willingly or not, I don't know. But it seemed like they were just trying to help her out. And I just find that interesting how they made it a point to show that like this town that had been terrorized by Wanda is like now like it's almost like, not to say they can't leave each other, but it's just like they have so much PTSD and they have so much mental concerns that they gotta stay and just help each other. Like they're not, I don't think they're of the point where they can just leave. Because some people would be like, after you were in something like that, wouldn't you just move away or go someplace else? And I can understand that. You're like, no, because I was in such a hellish, fucked up mental dream that and these people who are all I had, who were in this with me, these is my family now.
Yeah, like it's like trauma bonding, like the biggest form of trauma bonding, and they were all like held hostage by the same person. And it's not like they ever had like Stockholm. It was like because they didn't like grow to like be fond of Wanda, but they were like, and they don't even want to say her name, but they
scared as fuck as her to this
like,
day. To this day.
What's funny to me is like I know because like we saw Agatha have the big like kerfuffle with Wanda in the middle of the street and the kids, but we don't know if the neighbors saw that, do we? Because like by the time Wanda,
everybody saw.
That's what I thought too. But then like, why are they treating Agatha like she's not capable of doing the same thing? She's the witch who like actually put Wanda in a place where she was like, oh, I'm gonna like keep effing around with your powers and you're going to keep effing around with these people's minds.
I presume they were aware that Agatha had no more powers. Just the simple fact that she was under this spell and she's the crazy one, the crazy neighbor in the streets. Like I figure that they saw her as harmless at this point. Like, and that's why they kind of treating her like, oh, let's try to like give her some space. Like either give her some space.
Yeah. A witch kind of convention, like that is a stereotype. It's like
it is.
The weird lady is the one that you call a witch. Like she's a witch because she's weird. Yeah. She's doing these kooky things.
I mean, you even saw one of the neighbors, like they were jogging and they looked up and saw her and they turned the fuck around, like, oh no, right? Because they didn't want to be part of that madness. But yeah, I get it. But yeah, that being said, like I like the setup. I like that they dropped you in this fake TV show world, and then when the credits for the TV show world came up, when it was like presented to or produced by WandaVision, I was like, okay.
It said it was adapted from the Danish, and they made it WandaVision or something like that. And I was like,
WandaVision or something.
Y'all play too much.
Yeah. I thought that was a nice touch, and again, I like that breaking of the fourth wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that was cool. So they carried it.
And all of the credit names were actually the character names, not the actor names. That was fun too.
Yes, very fun. And that's when, as soon as that happened, I was like, okay, now we're on a roll. Let's also just make mention, like I mentioned, Katherine Hahn is Agatha Harkness. We right away we see two people. We have her herself, Aubrey Plaza, as Rio Vidal, and then Joe Locke playing what they're naming Teen, Teen, since apparently we can't hear or know his name, which I want to talk all about, of course. How did you feel about Rio? Rio appears and apparently is maybe a rival or the antagonist to Catherine.
Mm-hmm. So it's funny. So I'm a big Parks and Recreation fan. And so the last time I saw these two actresses in the same thing was in Parks and Rec. And for me, it's interesting how their characters in this show have some similarities to kind of like some characterizations of who their character was in Parks and Rec.
Mhm.
For me, like Catherine Hahn being the self-preserving, doing things for her own needs, like only really like caring about that. And then
Mhm.
um Rio being the one that is like just like here to like mess with things and like see just for the fun of it. Like those are kind of characterizations of the characters from Parks and Rec that I like see them bring
Oh,
over into this show. You didn't really see them interact too much in Parks and Rec, so it's really cool to see them interact here and as witches.
got it.
Um, Rio for me, like because the like again because of that like parallel between those characters from these two different shows, couldn't tell initially. Like I know she's like the foil because we know that Agatha's actually running away from the seven. And that
Mhm.
she's had some kind of like romantic history with Rio from the way that they like talk to each
Oh.
other. Because there's a lot of like they give a lot of little like, well, you remember that time and like and they kind of like and then they cut
Oh, ooh.
each other off. Like she cuts like
I
yeah,
I thought it was just straight up about betrayal and this and that, but that would be another angle.
betrayal, romantic betrayal along
Mm.
with witchy betrayal.
Okay.
Um, so when they have these like moments in the show, it's really interesting to me because I'm like, what? Because we know Agatha is self-serving. What did
Mhm.
she do
That's what I
for
wanna
this
know.
thing to happen?
I'm not even thinking about Rio. Rio, as far as I know, Rio ain't do shit. What the
And then,
fuck
but
did
why did
Agatha do?
Rio want to pop back up too? Like, what is Rio like after all this time?
Right.
This person has like Agatha's been off the or yeah, basically, because what we hear from like WandaVision is that Agatha had been looking for like because she had the dark hold. She
Mhm.
wanted to be the Scarlet Witch.
Right.
Figured out she needs to find the Scarlet Witch instead of to like actually just being her and try to like take her powers
Take
like
her powers,
she
absorb her
saw this time.
powers. Right.
So but Agatha also had been like on the run basically. Like she's not
Sh
been like
she 5-star wanted on GTA when it comes to the continent. They said the most wanted or the most hated witch on this specific continent. Like, I was like, well, damn. Like she's always being hunted. And isn't it because of her stealing the dark hold?
but I think it's something about like I think it goes back to the original like crime that she did, crime against like witchhood, where she took the powers of her coven. So
Gotcha.
then yeah, that's a funny thing about her because like that's the prompt of like getting her powers back is having to work in communion with the other witches again. And I
Mhm.
will get into episode two, but I like that that's a hang up for everyone is that like we know your tea. We
Right.
know what you did. And
Right.
why would you think that we would want to put ourselves in a vulnerable position for you to do that stuff to us?
We know your
So,
MO. You did this shit 1,000 years before, and you about to do it. Maybe not. I don't know how old this lady is, but you know what I mean. You did this. I mean, wasn't 1,000 because she was around? Wasn't Agatha around during Salem?
but that's not a
That's not
thousand.
1,000. That's
That's like
a few hundred.
it's like 1600. So what is that like? 4 to 500
Damn,
years.
damn, she old. But yeah. I like that. I like what you're saying about Rio's character, and Rio's my favorite character so far. Because I like the fact that she's like you said, she has a lot of passion, obviously a lot of anger, but you know, it's I'm sure there's a reason behind it. And they made it seem like at first she was trying to help Agatha, right? But then when she came back, like nah, I'm about to stab the shit out of you. So
But
yeah.
also she was like, it's like, is she an assassin? Because she was like, I was hunting for
Yeah,
you.
the way she came through, like she was getting a bounty or something.
Right. And she was like, and I'm sticking the seven on you. So it's like, did you get hired by the seven? Is that why you're pulling them in
Maybe.
now?
So it's gonna be interesting to see how she's gonna get flipped to actually helping Agatha. And I don't know if it's gonna be of Rio's own volition or if Agatha's gonna put her in a position where she has no choice, and then Rio's gonna hate her even more. Like there's going to be, as like I said, as y'all see that like they is not fucking with each other, but then there's going to be a point. It's like they have the love hate relationship. It's Ash Ketchum and Gary Oak, right? Like they are the forever rivals, and they will somehow help each other, or they will, again, maybe through no means of their own, end up helping each other. But we'll see. And then also, Catherine, she's or someone's trying to help her. I don't even know if he really did anything, but he swears he did. Joe Locke plays this character called Teen. Um, First of all, that was really cool. This is another reason why I think this show is going to do well. The graphic design and the effects are very, very cool and stuff that I haven't seen before since like Madness, since
Multiverse of Madness.
Multiverse of Madness. Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. And when I say since that time, I just mean the more imaginative, wild visual effects you were seeing, right? So, for example, the reason why he's called Teen is because neither Agatha nor us, the audience, have been allowed to hear or see his name. So when she said, well, what is your name? Who are you? He moves his mouth to speak his name, but magical, like, I don't even know what to call it.
Stitching.
Like, stitching, yes. Magical stitching ends up like stitching his mouth as he says his name. And what's so wild and amazing about it, what is very, very attention to detail, is that the stitching moves as his mouth is moving and it releases as he ends the syllables of his name, right? And I just thought that was just fire, how like to sit there and think about that was dope. And also it gives you another dimension of the show. Like, okay, now it's a mystery too, right? Like there's all like yes, it's a horror, it's spooky time, and it's a mystery and all this other stuff. And it goes right along with the season, right along with spooky season. But I just like that. And again, something you haven't seen, you don't really see in a lot of Marvel's TV even.
Yeah, I am a spooky season kind of girl. I enjoy what I can. And I love when the atmosphere and setting like tell a story along with the show, with what you're seeing on the screen play out. With Joe Locke, I really enjoy that like like the teen character is very teen in a way that it's not and I say this as someone who's not been a teen in a while. So like if an actual teenager is like, no girl, it actually is that, and you need to get it together. You got it more than I do.
Right.
But like for me, I had always, whenever I was a teenager, was very annoyed by whenever there's a teen character and they try to give them like lingo from like the 70s or something. Whenever someone else, like whoever was writing it was a teen, that was a language that they use. And it's like, I don't use that. That's not part of my life. And I don't think they did his character that way so far.
No, I think really notice that. He's a regular character,
like,
right?
I think they did it more in his energy and his like reaction to things than they actually did it in like the lingo or whatever, which is the right way to write a character. Like, don't try to put like a certain kind of like dialect on them unless there's like from like, because I can get like whenever you do Gambit with like occasion, act like, that's like a rooted kind of character thing.
That's what you're saying.
Don't sit over here giving me like, yes, Queen Slay or whatever.
Just throwing out garbage, like, stolen AAVE really, but just throwing out a garbage language. Like, like they're not writing him to act like a Gen Z teen. He is a Gen Z teen. He's just himself. Or is he even Gen Z? He's 16, right? So how old
so I think that's technically your name.
Whatever, girl.
The babies.
The point is, he just it gives off genuine, right? It doesn't give off, you're like, because you could tell when it's just like someone who's, as you said, you haven't been that age in a long time, or you're a little bit out of touch with how a modern day kid of that age would actually be behaving and talking and this and that. And he's like straight up what I expect, like regular, like, so I believe in this character. So I like that. The character's very cute as well. Very, like, I'm Agatha's biggest stan.
Wide eyes to the world. Like,
wide eyes to the world.
You just enjoy seeing the world through his eyes, but also you enjoy Agatha being like chill.
Yeah, of course. And in that episode 1, like when he encounters Agatha, like, because he's still in the show with Agatha, right? Or Agatha's still in the show and he's still with her. He begins chanting in Latin. I assume he's trying to chant like a release spell or something like that to try to help her. And he doesn't really get to finish, right? She apparently, tapes his mouth, locks, binds him and puts him in the closet somewhere. So I don't even know if he really got to finish. But then like later, I think it's episode 2, where he's just like, yeah, I got you free. I released you. I'm just like, was it really you? I think it was Rio. But I just think
maybe it was a combination of factors. Like maybe
it could have been a combination.
Because at the beginning of the episode, we get that we presume it's Wanda's body in the woods.
In the show. Mm-hmm.
So maybe it's the combination of, because like in the time frame and timeline that people put together, based on like the show producers and stuff they've said that this is like not too long after the timeline of Wanda, the events of the Multiverse of Madness. And so
she kills all the other different Wandas, or not killed. I forgot what she actually did to all the other Wandas. She borrowed the other Wanda.
Yeah, she dreamwalked. But she also she destroyed all the Darkholds.
She destroyed, right? That's what she did. She destroyed all the Darkholds in all the other universes. So there was only one copy.
So there's no more Darkholds available. So it's interesting that like perhaps it was like Wanda dies, her spell dies, possibly off. Like it's like loosens up enough for Rio to find Agatha, and then
that's a good idea.
Pull Agatha out of her spell.
Yeah.
That just like routine of being within the spell, and then having to confront, hey, this is not real. And so that's also Agatha. It's on Agatha having to actually like learn and figure out like, wait, this isn't real. And then the kid comes in, and then and so I feel like in a way I could see like, okay, I don't know if the spell work that the kid did was at all like a component, like you're saying, but I think possibly the jolt of this new face within Westview, which is like has the same faces rolling around in her TV show, is enough to jolt her out of like, but what is happening here? So in a way, maybe the kid helped without him actually thinking he helped the way that he like, not with the spell work.
Maybe. I mean, you might be right, Portia, that it's just a combination of things. Like I presumed that, and it could have been because the dead body whatnot, but like the spell was already starting to break anyway, or I really just attributed it back to Rio. I'm like, Rio must have been dropping clues and saying shit in her ears or something like that, because throughout the show, within the show, the true crime show, like once she saw the locket, she was already starting to like, she meaning Agatha was already starting to come out of it. Like you saw her in the beginning when she was first, before they even showed the face of the body or anything. Well, they never really showed us the face, but before they flipped the body over, like when she was just looking at the clues in the crime scene, like she was seeing things and she was slowing, like she was getting stuck. Like when you start remembering, like remember who you are, like you're starting to get stuck on things. So the lockets, she got stuck on that. And this is down the line in that episode, but she got stuck when she was at her desk and she was trying to decipher that title of that book, and come to find out the first letters of the book spell out Darkhold, right? And she got up to the H before like she got stuck again. Like I think like I'm trying to figure out exactly what was like what was dropping these hints into her mind, right? Because all of this stuff is all mental at the end of the day. What was dropping all these mind hints to make her like start realizing what the fuck was going on? And then
things were like slowly unraveling.
Yeah. And towards that, and you made a very good point a few moments ago when you said you like how when a show tells a story and also tells it visually too. So you mentioned unraveling, right? So she literally unraveled herself when she was getting out of the spell, right? She was taking off all the different clothes and genres and shows that she was. Like you saw the whole jazzercise version of her. Then you saw the old school, I Love Lucy type version of her. The black and white. Like that was fire. Like for her to, and being within the same scene too, like in the same room. And then like not only you're changing clothes, you're changing hairstyles and makeup, and you're changing literally the era you are in within that shit is fire. It's very, very imaginative. Kudos to the visual effects team for what they've done so far. Incredible.
And it feels like that's the thing about, but for me, that's what tells a good witch story or magical story too, is when the magic feels natural. It doesn't feel like it's like kind of like shoved in and like, it just feels like, oh, ooh, okay. And it makes you think like, what kind of magic what kind of TV magic or movie magic did they do to pull this off where it feels natural to the environment?
Yes. The energy this gave me also was giving Alice in Wonderland, because I always feel like Alice in Wonderland is one of those worlds where literally, as you saw, like you look to the left, you see a flower, you turn around, You go back and now it's a mushroom. And then you look to your right and something else is there that wasn't there. Like it's a lot of that sleight of hand, and it's like all elements what we will see. I know this now, but especially in these first few episodes, you see elements of magic and different styles of magic. Like obviously you have the thing where people can read your mind, right? They say, I can read your mind, or is this your card, right? And then as I mentioned, sleight of hand and illusions. Like, yes, witchcraft, which is different, but also they're combining all the different related arts of what would be considered under witchcraft, right? So again, as I mentioned, all the different facets of magic, whether for entertainment or otherwise purposes. I think that shit is cool. I think that shit is cool, and I know for you, and I'm gonna be leaning on you for like some of this stuff because I know you know this shit, like about okay, what is this referencing? What does this mean? And I do just like seeing this done in a really new way, and also these are new with with the exception of Catherine, obviously, and maybe and some of the Westview residents. These are new people. Like we haven't seen these actors or actresses before, and this is refreshing. Like do something new, nigga. This is what me and Benjamin was saying a few episodes ago. This is what we're talking about. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something that yeah, so like I do want to like I know we want to keep moving forward. I just want to note that when we're talking about like Agatha being stuck in the genre scenes, um one thing for me, because whenever you're having a dream, it felt like like to your point about Alice in Wonderland, how it feels like a dream-like sequence and things are moving and you're just like,
Yeah,
what?
stuff ain't there that was there before,
And you just keep like,
it's all over the place.
okay, but you kind of go along with it. You don't question it too much because that's what you do in a dream. You just kind of keep moving.
Right.
When she goes to have the brooch lock, because she doesn't put on a necklace, she just has the little broachy part. When she goes to take it to Norm to have it like appraised, he conveniently knows things that Agatha would know about the locket, like what time period it's from, what all the stuff, what these different women with on it mean, what kind of is made of cowrie shell. Like he knows things that Agatha, who's conscious, would know about it, which is like for me a sign that you're in a dream. Sometimes when I'm in a dream, I'm like, how did you know that? And then I'm like, oh shoot, I'm in a dream, right?
It's because it's your own mind.
It's your own mind giving you information.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that component. I think that was also part of the thing. Cause like when she was having those pauses, I think that was her coming to terms with like, but I know this, but I don't know this, but I know this. Like, it's like having her like kind of pull it together.
It's lying to yourself.
Yeah.
Your ass is in a dream, but you rather be up in here.
You don't want to leave it yet.
Right.
And then the other thing was that like when the teen shows up, he in her house and she thinks that he's a thief. He shows up in the room that we saw her walk into earlier that had these like awards for like a child named Nicholas Scratch.
Yes.
Who we assume,
you know who that is? I could tell you, but go ahead.
Who we can assume is Agatha's child at some point.
Yeah, and towards that, at least in the comic books, Nicholas Scratch is the son of Agatha Harkness. And I don't know that, and this is where Ben Amin comes in. When Ben Amin joins our review episodes, he'll tell us more about the background of this. But Nicholas Scratch was the leader of New Salem, which is a Colorado community populated by magic users. So pretty much all the magic users of Marvel would live in this place. And, also people you've never heard of all live in there. And this place also involves the Fantastic Four, which is convenient considering Fantastic Four is going to release later next year or something like that. So apparently, like according to this, Agatha lived there with her son. She actually left the community to live in the regular world with everybody else, where she became a nanny to Franklin Richards, the son of Reed and Sue Richards of the Fantastic Four. And then obviously shenanigans ensues because Fantastic Four ends up going back to New Salem with her, and then all sorts of chaos happen. Ben, as mentioned, y'all got to keep listening to this review as we go along, Agatha All Along, so you can learn more about the comic book. But yeah, so Nicholas Scratch is, at least in the books, a real character and is her son. I don't even know if he's going to make an appearance here. I don't know if he has already technically or what, but we about to find out.
Yeah, I'm interested in what's happening with that. I'm also interested in this. We're talking about we talk about the magician level craft work. And I just want to talk about also some hints of like traditional witch related stuff that we see them like already sliding into the tale. So one, Wanda was stoned, which is a traditional like way to get rid of witches, right? Like in Salem era and all that medieval period.
Burn the witch.
Stone them, put them in the water, drown, like all those things. And then the brooch itself is like the maiden, the mother, the crone. And that is like a traditional, like, you know, old, old white witchcraft kind of thing. The fact that it's done with cowrie shell is interesting to me because cowrie shells are traditionally like from African.
That is African.
Countries.
I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? So is there something else that Agatha stole?
Or
I'm just saying, cowrie shell. When she said, thank you, Portia, Portia, thank you for mentioning that, because when they said that, and I was watching, I said, oh, girl, where'd you get a cowrie shell from?
Agatha herself was like, what is that? And it's like, girl, if you don't know what it is, then why you got it? Like, so that's...
What a metaphor.
What are we talking about here? Oh, we're imperializing spices, but we don't know what to do with them.
Viking braids. But anyway, continue.
When Agatha's writing, like when she's still in the show in her head, she has a red pen, which red is traditionally a color of witching. Or like harlot women, but both, because people like to associate witches with both, right?
Right.
And so she's writing in a red pen when she could have chosen so many other colors to be writing in for the show. We later see someone writing in a black pen, and she's got this red one.
So that was purposeful.
And also Wanda. Yeah, very purposeful. And yeah, I just wanted like, so I've been like trying to take up like any notions of like witchery. I'm like, I have a moment. I'm not saying I'm catching all of them.
No, but what you do catch, definitely share, because you know the context behind it is what gives the show even more depth.
Even more. Yeah. And then like the brooch itself, I know was Agatha from the comic books, like traditional brooch too. So it's like, and she had it during WandaVision, and now they're carrying it over to her, like catching herself again in the water. And it's interesting that, again, traditional way of drowning, which of like getting rid of witches is drowning them, and her brooch was sitting in the water.
Look at that. Look at you paying attention and shit. I appreciate you. Okay, let me make mention of some additional characters. So we also, episode 2, we run into Shashir Zamata, who plays the character Jennifer Kale. I've loved Shashir from SNL. I know she's now diving more into acting and other ventures. It's so interesting that her character is giving scammer / they call her a fraud, or Agatha calls her a fraud, but she's giving a little bit scammer.
It's funny because her whole thing, when I talk about people, like, so Agatha, as soon as, first off, Agatha's already, like, she's just crotchety.
Yes.
I don't want to before we get into, so I also want to note that, like, when we leave Westview to go on the hunt because the coven members, we see the foundations of Wanda's house still there, and people have been graffitiing the crap out of it, and Agatha spits at it, and I'm like, Agatha girl, like, I understand you've been under a spell for a long period, but you would have done worse to Wanda. You were about to do worse to her, so I kind of feel a way about, like,
you do?
Agatha.
I laughed.
I'm like, why are you jumping?
I laughed because
jumping a dead body. Like, why are you jumping?
Because she took her powers. Because she did to Agatha. Wanda did to Agatha what Agatha was trying to do to Wanda, and got the one up on her. She pissed. I was dying laughing. But I love seeing the fountain, because literally Westview looks like the way it was left when we were last there 3-4 years ago. Now at this point, when we watched WandaVision, and you know the way everything got broke up, and there it is. That's all that's left. So I get it. That's her worst nightmare. So fuck you. I got why she was mad. It was funny to me.
I was just like, girl, what's up? Okay. And then it was funny. It was funny that you say that, like, Westview looks the way that it was whenever 3 or 4 years ago, because I remember whenever she was still in her genre moment, they were at the library and they had a whole bookcase that was burnt out. And I'm like, who in their like would leave a burnt bookcase in an active library? And it's like another dream thing where like this doesn't make any sense. And then that guy behind the
random guy in the book in the stacks, like somebody burned the books and then dipped out. Yeah. It's just even more understanding that, bruh, you is not in the real world right now.
But also, is that guy gonna come back? Is he important in some way?
I thought he was just one of the residents that just kept popping
but
up.
we never seen his face before.
True. Maybe that's Nicholas. Who knows? I mean, who knows? What you had to say about Jennifer Kale?
But Jennifer Kale, she is like whenever again we mentioned earlier, whenever they run into each other, like Agatha, I was mentioning the foundations because Agatha has been crotchety and acting out like as soon as she's dispelled in the spell, she was not very pleasant. She was just like, yeah, I know I'm the problem. Like I'm her herb. I'm gonna do what I need to do. And then she gets out of the spell and she's not any more pleasant. She is a little kooky, which is fun, but she is not that pleasant. And so when she talks to Jen, she walks into her store talking about the Yanni eggs and Kegels. And like, it's like, you don't like, she does not F with you. And the first thing you do is make her like, I guess it's Agatha's thing is to be provocative and just like, throw things. And it's
Agatha ain't got no couth and don't give a fuck.
She don't. And so for me, Jen's reaction was just like, Lord, like I was trying to make a spell, like a cell, and here she come. And it's funny that whenever she gets confronted with her like fraudulent cases, because it's like because Teen does the same thing he did to get in with Agatha to Jen. He's like, oh my gosh, I love your Instagram. Like you are so everything. And then in the next breath, whenever Jen is like, no, I'm not joining your stupid coven, is like, oh, but you have a court case, right? Like you are not supposed to be selling these candles because you set people on fire with these candles.
What I got from it was, and it's so modern day, it's the influencer that uses their influence, their popularity and stuff to get money, whatever. But at the end of the day, they're a snake oil salesman. And we do find out that Miss Kale is bound, which you can talk a bit about what that means specifically. I just understood it to mean someone stops her. Somebody puts a hex or something on her so that she can't use her powers. And if that's what it is, then cool. But this is powerful and strong. It happened a long fucking time ago. Could have been Angela Bassett who did it but it happened.
LeBeau.
Right.
LeBeau.
Right. Miss LeBeau. And so now and they also said she's like 400 years old, something crazy too, right? Like all of these witches been around the block, okay? So something went down, right? And so like I said, I do like how they have characterized Jennifer Kale as the typical, really untrustworthy influencer content / content creator who is just there for the buck. And it doesn't really have substance behind it, but you can tell there's more to her story, and I want to learn more. She's also the only Black woman witch that we know as of now. I don't know if there will be another, but she is the only Black woman witch, so I'm checking for her.
And the MCU so far, right?
Well, I'm just talking about the show, but maybe in the MCU too. I don't know.
I mean, like present day MCU. What else do we know?
I don't fucking know. So I haven't seen it. So that. But I do like her. I do want to see her grow. Like one thing they have done, like they did a very good job building, not necessarily backstory, but building the character profile. And then I hope because this is 9 episodes in this series, I hope we will at least get time as the series goes where they'll probably dwell on each of the now, members of this coven, of Agatha's new coven. So you can get some more backstory on why they ended up the way they did. Or why they went through the way they did. Because I want to know who the fuck bound her. And like, again, was it on some betrayal shit? Like, what happened?
So unlike Tatiana, I watched all 4 episodes, and I'll tell you that we're gonna get that answer soon.
Thank you. And that's what I'm saying. And I hope that they do this, and they do this fairly with all the characters, that you really get some good time to just find that out. And when I say fairly, I mean like just given an equal amount of time and interesting stuff, because especially if one of these characters ends up being more interesting than we thought, then this could be someone that they then continue boosting up through either another series or through one of the films, right? So I would love to see that.
Yeah, it's like it feels from seeing the other 2 episodes, it feels like they're doing a very ensemble cast thing, and I hope that's the
Yes.
energy they continue to come at this show with. It's like an ensemble, everyone gets their moment, everyone has their part of the melody that they're gonna get a little solo on for a bit, kind of thing.
Exactly. We also have Ali An, who plays Alice Wu Gulliver. She is considered the Blood Witch, which Agatha says is a witch who is a daughter, or a girl who is the daughter of a witch. I assume she has powers too,
Yeah,
but
she was born to a
because she
witch,
has blood
yes.
powers, right? So it was passed down to her, if you will, right?
Yeah, it's so I don't know that she and her mother was also a protection witch. Like I don't know if that, you know what I mean. I don't know if it's like a direct like handoff. Like if I'm a protection witch and I have a daughter, that daughter also is like I don't know if that's the way that works.
Gotcha.
But that's what she's. It is funny because she's Agatha. Okay, so backtrack a little bit. Agatha starts this episode with talking to the teen about there being this Covenstead rule where with wherever a witch is within 3 miles radius of her, there are enough other witches for them
To
to
build a
have a
coven.
coven.
Right.
And so they go to the first thing that looks something like a promising like thing, which is the psychic, and the psychic gives them the list to go to these other witches. And so when Agatha's noting the witches, she's noting which witch is which kind of witch. I just said a lot of witches, but you know what I mean? Like, which witch is the divination one? Which one is the one of, like, so she notes that Alice is the protection witch. And it's funny because Alice is sitting there as a security guard at like, they don't say Hot Topic, but it's basically Hot Topic.
Absolutely Hot Topic.
And it's funny because the teen character who is like, you know, wearing eyeliner, this is like he's like, are we here because you are making a joke about like me
like,
or something?
This is my aesthetic, but I didn't want to be in this story right now.
I don't know about this. He's like, I'm a bit more bougie than a Hot Topic. I don't know.
Oh my God. And Alice is also apparently a former police officer. So, because they make mention of that, because I think she's a police officer, like when she got off the force, like she's just basically looking for work. And it's interesting because Alice's mom apparently is very famous, and I presume very rich too. She is the one that, and you must know more about this because since you watch more episodes, but like she is the one that they said actually wrote the Ballad of the Witches, which is that song.
The one that, but she's not that she wrote it. That she made the most popular version.
She made the most popular version. Thank you. She made the most, they said that she made the most popular version of the song. So again, through that, I just discerned, okay, this is, you know, like and also even Alice just looked at them like, oh, they just some other groupies. Looked at when Agatha and Teen walked in, she's like, oh, here come the groupies again. You know, like she's used to that, which is why I'm just like, oh, she must be the daughter of like a superstar.
Yeah, right? Agatha called her mom a rock goddess.
Okay, well, there it is. So, and I don't know, you know, at this point, I don't know how old her mother is or what demo that her mom is serving this point, or if she's like, you know, one of those legends that always famous no matter what. So they gave me that like jaded rich kid kind of thing, but also Alice herself is a little older. So I was just like, okay, why the hell are you working at Hot Topic? It's like, what about you where you are stuck in places like this, right? Why are you no longer a police officer? What happened with you? Who did you hurt? Right? Like what betrayal happened to you? Like, I feel like it's going to be the same or similar situations.
And to get into the Agatha of it all, Agatha, and it's clear when we talk about each of the witches, she's strong arming them into joining her on her quest to go to the witch's road, which again, it's interesting because the teen character, from the teen's perspective, I'm sure the teen is like, oh, I'm the one who's getting her, you know, gassed up and wanting to go on the road, giving her the quest in the first place. And it's like, I thought I was going to figure out how to get her powers back no matter what. But it's interesting that she came up with the solution to the issue as soon as she pops out and whatever. And we don't really know the teen's motivations to why the teen wants to go to the witch's road, but we do know Agatha's and we do know the other witches. And so it's interesting because with Alice, we hear that her mom has either dead or gone missing.
She's gone missing, and she doesn't know
On
what
the
happened to
witch's
her.
road, presumably. And so
Yeah.
that is her motivation, is for her to want to see her mother.
Right. Well, Teen does say his motivation. He says, or they say, that their motivation is, and Agatha calls it skipping steps, but it seems like their motivation is getting power, because they said they want to be able to blast, and they want to be able to levitate, and they want to be able to float. That's what Teen says. And I believe they even say power at the end, but that's essentially what their motivation is. So I'm also concerned about that, because power corrupts, obviously, as we know, and they're only 16. So I'm just like,
But it's funny because the teen keeps saying that the road gives you your greatest wish or something like
your
that.
greatest wish, yeah, at the
And
end of
I'm
the road,
like,
because they read whatever the end of the ballad says.
right. So I'm like, I'm wondering if power is actually the teen's greatest wish, given like the little drops of like clues that we get. And again, Ben can probably attest to this more because he knows the comics more. But I did note that like, so a lot of people are thinking that Teen is Wiccan, which is one of Wanda's kids. And whenever the colorization, like the colors of clothing that he wears, like ties into that, and his kind
Does
of like
tie into
look
Wiccan.
ties into it. But then also, when they're in the car, he gets a phone call from someone that is listed in his phone as
boyfriend.
boy, and Wiccan is canonically gay, so that's another clue or whatever towards like possibly being Wiccan. But I'm like, I don't know. I like, you never know with Marvel if they're gonna give you the okey doke into something else.
I mean, it would be cool, like, just if they flipped it, like, or if they even led in right into it. Like, who knows? Because also, these aren't like characters that people know off the back of their hand. Like, that whole thing in WandaVision, that was left field for a lot of people. Like, unless you have been an avid reader of the comic books for, at least 10 plus years, you may not have even known who these people even are. So maybe, who knows? And that's just like a good point though, like who is, and obviously who Teen really is. And then even when Teen, again, back to the whole visual effects, when Teen went into trying to explain their backstory in the car, you saw all of a sudden, both Wanda and us, the audience, we couldn't even hear him. Like, literally the volume got turned down. Now she turned up, she was like, is it my hearing? Turn up the radio volume, no problem. But anything he said, anything that Teen says that relates to who they actually are, their name, their characters, you don't hear. They do not allow you to hear. They do allow you to hear the motivations for going to the road, but they don't allow you to hear who this person is.
And they're willing to share. They're like, oh, like, I'm from this town. I'm glad you asked. I'm from this town and my parents do this. And then you're like,
yeah. And also I liked, like, especially with the whole thing of the stitching of the mouth, where like a lot of times, like, if they like just turn off the volume, you can read the character's lips, right? They made it so that you couldn't even read the character's lips. Even when they turn down the volume, they cut away from you seeing Teen talk. So you couldn't know. And that
never does look at his lips. So she's trying to lip read, but she's like, she still can't get it. She's like,
yes. So again, very, very well done. Then we also have the actress Patti LuPone, who plays Lilia Calderu. And Lilia is the psychic, or she had this psychic shop that we run into, and she's the one. Now she's a cat. She's the one that's gonna make me laugh. She's in my head right now. She's the comedy relief, because that lady, hearing, seeing, touching, feeling things that aren't there, saying who's that and what was that and who like, she is going through it, and I want to know what the fuck happened to her, and is she possessed?
And she's possessed.
Like, because for her to be like, she just sitting there, she's like, who that? Like, I'm just like, okay, lady, you got to relax, my girl. Like, and then her screaming and her making all these noises and stuff. Like, I'm like, bro, who broke you? She feels like a broken witch. Who broke you? And was it, what the magic word? Was it betrayal? Like, is this the tie that binds all of these witches together?
But also
being bullied by Agatha?
And like, betrayal plus the fact that like they're all hard up. Like, that's what, like,
they are all down bad. All Agatha, these witches is down bad.
Agatha even says that to the team. Tina's like, who's gonna want to join your coven? She's like, I expect some
broke
down
ass
bad
niggas.
the ones who need it, they're gonna join. And when you're right, you're right. And she had a target audience and she got and it's so sad because the again reads this woman down, Lilia, reads her down. Homegirl had an eviction notice on her door, and Agatha's like, "You need this." She's like, "I'm not gonna join you, but I'll give you a list of witches for you to go talk to."
Yes.
And Agatha's like, "Oh, are you, baby? Because you're on this list, and two, you need this. Look at this eviction notice. Don't play with me."
Broke ass niggas. Teen is 16 ain't got no money. Jennifer Kale, scammer, selling candles, got 2 customers. You ain't got no money.
Got a case. Got a case. She
got a case. Baka got a weird case, okay?
And she's bound. She need where's she gonna get magic from?
Alice working at Hot Topic ain't got no money. Lilia, fake ass psychic, ain't got nobody coming in that hole, ain't got no money. Everybody down fucking bad. And then Rio, I don't know what the hell is going on with Rio, but something will require her to join, obviously, because that's who we see in all the other in the trailers, and she's with the group. So, and as what was very funny is, as you mentioned in that list, all these people's names are listed except for one. The last one that they said wasn't a name; it was a picture that Lilia drew. It was a picture of a black heart. And as we know from an earlier scene, Rio says, I'm your heart, Agatha, I'm your black heart, right? So now we know who that refers to. And in that case, she is considered the Earth Witch. Obviously, Agatha don't fuck with her, is not gonna go look for her. So she finds, who can I just say is a heart that deals with Earth? Oh, Mrs. Hart, who likes the garden. And I'm just like, she ain't got no powers. So that's and I didn't think the damn door was gonna open, but for it to open anyway, I was like, what? So is Mrs. Hart gonna get hurt? When is she gonna get replaced with Rio? Like, what the fuck? Please don't leave Mrs. Hart out of this. She's been through enough. Her husband died.
Her husband died. When she said that, I was like, was it because of the complications? Wanda basically had him dying at the table.
Yeah.
And then
I thought she ended up making him die by the end of all of that. So leave Mrs. Hart out of this. Like, you literally and figuratively dragging her down to the gates with you.
And the poor lady that she was going to a party. She been lonely. She ain't got nothing to do but garden. And here you are offering her a good time, and you're offering her a good time to hell. Like,
she was feeling it too. I felt bad. But yeah, just that whole double entendre and all that stuff. And then yes, the visual story, you're literally walking down through the gates, down to the gates of hell. That's what the witch's road is, my nigga. They gonna see Beelzebub himself.
And the other
Dante.
And it's not like they have another option because they're
Lucifer.
They're trying to outrun Agatha's burdens, because the 7 done. And when we talk about visual effects, the 7, that's what I feel like. The 7, okay, I know this is there's so many different ways people can take references. This is not Lovecraft Country weren't the first folks to make people who have jerky movements look visually interesting on a television show. However, the way they have the 7 unfold from each other, and it's one shadowy figure, and then it becomes multiple shadowy figures, and they're all messed up, and they're all jerky kind of moving, and then
Salem 7, yeah.
I'm like, this kind of gives me love, how they had those 2 girls who were dancing or whatever, those doll figures.
Oh yeah, they was giving Dementors. They was giving Dementors for me, and it was a little scary.
It was what, because that's the kind of stuff that spooks me the most. I don't do gore. I don't like blood.
Me neither.
That freaks me out. I don't even like Grey's Anatomy. I would watch it. I can't watch the surgery scenes. I look away and I come back.
Oh really? No, I don't like nasty horror. I don't need body horror. It's too much. You're doing it too.
It's a lot. But there's a movie called Anatomy of a Body. And it's a horror movie, and it's mostly them doing surgery. So if you can sit through watching Grey's Anatomy, it's mostly them doing surgery. And I tell you, I had to keep looking away, but it was an interesting movie. I just couldn't. I can't see body anyway. there was the cool thing for me is that like whenever to freak me out and like please people don't try to distance me in real life. I don't want to be I do want to be spooked when I know I'm about to be spooked, not just for fun, like someone doing it to me. No.
Yeah.
Whenever there's something in the corner of your eye and you're like,
girl.
what is
you
that?
what's that over there?
when that stuff happens, that's the stuff that freaks me out the most because it's like I looked over there a minute ago, it was just a leaf. It better be a leaf when I look back over there because what is moving?
It might not be. It
over
might not
here?
be.
And that's how the 7 popped up. Like it was like
they're meant to be scary.
They are. But for me, it was interesting that like, and it's like, I'm not gonna play no games. I know they're after Agatha, but if I'm in her house and they coming over here, I'm gonna go because like, why am I gonna? They don't look like they move like the oh no, honey baby, you're not Agatha. That's fine. You can leave. We're not gonna do anything to you.
No,
what they're gonna do?
I mean, they never really got to him, but I wonder if they would have hurt. Well, obviously, they would have just stomped on the rest of them just for being there. Just by being present, you're guilty by association at that point. So you gonna catch the elf too?
Yeah,
I don't know.
So the 7, I think, are like while Rio is definitely like a foil to Agatha, like the 7 are the real threat to Agatha because they're the reason why she's taking herself to the road in the first place.
Right.
Because when Rio says, I'm sticking the 7 on you, she's like, now let me at least get my powers. Like,
yeah, let me be able to defend myself because that's a bloodbath. Like, what the fuck am I supposed to do? That's the Terminator's coming after you. You have no weapons. Like, what? Nigga, what? Like, I'm not saying like, and that's why I do like Agatha. Like, she's like, I'm not gonna sit here on no fuck shit and like just take it. I'm gonna go figure this. I'm gonna defend myself. I like that. Just taking agency, right? And that's also the character and the will of a witch, right? Like, I'm not just gonna fucking sit here and take your shit.
But I also think that it's like she's not in denial about the fact that like who she is.
Like, she don't give a fuck. She's very narcissistic as well. But
she's also owning who the F she is. Like she knows her list of crimes. Like she knows what she did. So she's like, it's not like I'm gonna be able to bargain with them and be like, hi, babes. I know that I stole your mother's powers and y'all have been coming after me since the days of Salem. How can we say bygones? Think bygones and no.
Absolutely not. No. What I also and this is just like just about again how this series plays out. Like there's so many Easter eggs and so many you touched upon it before, all the deeper meetings and stuff like that. The music, right? Like, and when we talk about the visuals, like even at the end of the episodes where and I wanted you to talk a lot about that and the end credit scenes because it's like it gave what's the last. Well, there were a lot of Marvel shows would do that where they would show like multiple images at the end in the credits of their show, and that it would be especially Loki, right? It gave Loki where it was images that could potentially be clues about what's going to happen through this series, right? And who's going to pop up and shit like that. So I did see a lot, obviously, pop culture references to witches. My favorite within the show,
mm-hmm.
and also deeply within the show and also deeply within the end credit scenes. And I'm gonna let you have it in just a second. I just wanted to say the craft. That scene of the craft when the one girl when she was sliding on her little toes. Nancy! Crazy ass Nancy. That is classic. And I love that they referenced it and they referenced it and they even showed a piece of that scene. But anyway, can you please tell me, because you have a lot of notes on this.
So I want to get to some of the pop culture references that we see in this show because I think that also ties through into what they're referring to in the credits too. Because I think that's the thing is that you can't watch a witchy show and not. It's kind of like watching a horror movie. Depending on like who is crafting it, they're going to be doing like a nod. If they're really into the genre, they're going to do a nod to something else that people really care about in the genre.
Right.
And in this, we have when we're talking about the Lilia, the psychic character. She mentions how like she's annoyed by the different stereotypes they give witches that like they poison apples, which is from Snow White.
Mm-hmm. And you see a clip of that like
poison apple,
5-second clip with the poison apple from Snow White with the witch. Yeah.
And then Still Children, which is Hocus Pocus. They Still Children in Hocus Pocus, and that's also a Disney property. So you might be getting some Disney, some Hocus Pocus.
Okay.
And then Eat Babies, which now I don't know who Eat Babies.
And not Agatha saying they delicious. I said she's a fucking cat. I love her.
But also, like, who? So I'm trying to like, and that might be just a throwaway, or it could be what for me, like in the end credits. Those are like accusations people made of the women that they did, like, transgress around, and like they did put them through the court case, and they said that they were guilty of doing those things.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at the end credits, we see a lot of clips from like Cotton Mather, clips from like the Crucible, like women in a court being like pointed at by men, and then like the
Salem trials,
right? So I think what that gives us, and we know, yes, like we can, and then there's a woman who was like at Salem and like pointing at it with a witch's hat and a witch's garb. Yes, Agatha's crimes do begin, from what we know, at Salem. However, I think this is also given these clues, given the way that it started off with a crime drama, given the way that like different, like she's being weighed and judged throughout the story, and they're all weighing and judging each other throughout the story. I think that means that at some point we're gonna get a court scene.
Oh, yeah.
Things are going to
judgment.
Yeah, it's going to be an actual judge and jury kind of moment.
Right.
For all the things that are happening here.
Do you think that's really what's at the end of the Witch's Road? Like, or is it on some genie in a bottle shit where they like, oh, we gonna give you what you really want? Where it's like, they don't really give you what you want. Like, you say you want power, you say you want riches, this and that, but we gonna give it to you in a different form, and you ain't gonna like it. But you know what I mean? But Agatha also said she did go down the Witch's Road before, and she came out on the end, and that's why she's so extra powerful and other shit. So but it also fucked with her at some point too. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure what Agatha
like, what did she get out of at the end?
I'm not sure what the Witch's Road, like, the end of the Witch's Road is. I don't know. I don't know if like the court, I don't know where the judgment comes in. I feel like there's judgment throughout.
Okay.
But the final ruling, right? Like the actual pronouncement in court kind of proceedings, like when does that happen? And I think it's also interesting because Jennifer also has a case. So it's just like a couple, like, so it's going to go down. And I don't think it's going to just be like one final thing. It might just be like an accumulation of things that we have to like watch out for, that lead to like, this is the evidence building for the case that we get at some point. But I feel like that we're going to definitely get a court scene. We see there's like this thing where they like circle the words hidden gate in the end credits.
The circle words remove your shoes when you touch the road. So that's the first thing they do as soon as they pop out over there.
And then the hidden gate is actually the door, right? Like it's a hidden gate. Yeah. And then we see like Snow White's hag, which like the evil queen in her hag form, go down the trap door in the end credits.
Right.
So they also descend down the trap door. We also see witches on surfboards. We see
what the fuck is that? They trying to say, oh, I'm floating, nigga. Like, is that like, look at me, nigga, I'm floating on this whole, like, y'all thought y'all could drown me type shit. Like, is that what that is? Like,
we see witches on like a recumbent broom, like it's one big broom with multiple witches on it. And then in the trailers, we saw them similarly doing something like that across the moon. So it seems like we're probably going to get something like that. And one of the witches on the recumbent broom has something that says like German sausage in her hand. I don't know what that means.
Okay. They showed there was a lot of symbolism, obviously, you're mentioning that like throughout that. I think it was episode 2. Like Agatha saw a crow, she saw a rat, and she saw a wolf,
and they're all in the end credits,
right? And then we saw the white rabbit, that's her pet, and then in the end credits also that black cat. And I thought those were also just symbols of witches in general too.
Yes, we also see like a cat. Season. Yeah, we see a cat and I think it's 2 cats in like clothing playing instruments.
Yes.
We see an Asian woman on like a poster wearing like a gold robe with her mouth open and something coming out of her mouth. or like flat, and we don't know the direction of that. We see a woman in what looks like 1920s, kind of like hair, head, hat, and stuff. It says around her, there's newspaper headlines of droughts, an anomaly, and witchcraft sparks. Not sure who that's going to be related to. And there's a Wizard of Oz illustration, and also a Lisa Simpson illustration of her in a witch costume.
Lisa at Halloween. Lisa Simpson at Halloween, yeah.
There's a woman holding like the thing from the Ouija board, that pointer thing.
Oh, that says like, yeah, when you ask it a question or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's also crystals, hexagons, and we've seen a couple different hexagons. There's a hexagon, like a postcard of like Westview with a hexagon over it.
Talking about the hex, right?
Yeah.
That was over everybody, yeah.
Or does it mean something new? We don't know. And then there's like a yas, like there's like these really cute like blue, I want to say like coffin, like maybe stiletto shaped nails.
Oh yeah, there were hands with beautiful nails on it.
Yeah. And so I've been paying attention since I saw the end credit scene to people's nails in different episodes, and that's been fun too.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So I think, and that there's tarot cards, and then I think as soon as the divination, which is the main one who is going to play around with tarot cards, and in this episode, the second episode we first meet Lilia. She does mention the Three of Pentacles.
Yeah, what the hell does that mean?
Now,
because I don't know. This is outside my realm of understanding. Google is my friend, but what the fuck does that mean? You said Three of Pentacles.
Three of Pentacles. Now I don't know.
I hope the gate don't open on my laptop. Now wait a minute. The Three of Pentacles suggests that you are pooling your experience and skills together with a larger group to accomplish shared goals, which makes sense because she's pulling this coven together to walk the road. And it said the Three of Pentacles is an encouragement that you're on the right track. You're competent at what you do and you're making progress.
Yes. So I'll just add that in forthcoming episodes, we're going to see a tarot card per each episode.
Oh.
And they all have the same number on them so far, 3. So I don't know what the end goal is with that, but it's been interesting to me that so far there's one tarot card per episode that I've noticed, and they all have 3s in them.
Right.
And also a witchy number.
I'm gonna say 3 is a witchy number, right? And it represents what you said. The what was the 3 ladies, the 3 women on her brooch, the
maiden, the mother, the crone.
The maiden,
but also like Macbeth has 3 witches, Hocus Pocus has 3. So like
3 is just an auspicious number in a lot of like lore and things like that. It's also potentially unlucky. It's also very lucky depending on what culture you're in. Like it's a lot of things.
Yeah. And I'll just final thing about the credits.
Christianity, religion, it's all over.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
Once you pick it up once, you'll see it everywhere.
Right.
Yeah, so they also have something in there about like there's a spell finding tapestry and a lot of discussion about 21st century modern witches. So that's kind of like the rounding out of what I like picked up on. There's also like a headline about near death in Westview. We know about the actual, we'll see. So there's a lot of things. I want to note that the way that the end credits kind of rolled out are kind of similar to the way that they rolled out the credits for this Desperate Housewives, their intro. Like it's kind of like book pages and like random like images, and they kind of fall into each other a little bit. And Desperate Housewives is a bit more interactive from credit image to image. This one not as much, but I'm picking up on like whatever references that this show is doing to like within other like ABC Disney family, as well as the witch family. And Desperate Housewives, their intro is kind of witchy.
I was just gonna say they gave Coven, and like when I'm now, because I used to watch that show too, but when I'm thinking about it, like it was very like this group of witches, women or whatever. Okay, Portia, I like everything you mentioned. And then like one of the other biggest things, and it's going to be an overriding theme throughout this series, I know, is this whole Ballad of the Witches, right? So this is the song that this new fledged coven sings in order to open the gate in the first place. And what you discovered, Portia, was apparently there may be different versions of the song, because we do hear them sing what now in my head just seems to be a really long ass song with a lot of stanzas, but it's just maybe different versions all pieced together. Now, what did you discover?
What I found is that, so I was going off the basis of like, we know that they premiered and like performed the song "The Ballad of the Witches Road" at D23. So I was like, oh, there has to be like like the main version somewhere. As far as I can tell, they haven't like shared out the full version of it like online where you can just like read through the lyrics. Like I had to like kind of pick it up. So the main portion that you get in the trailer and that I did hear from the recording of what they did at D23 goes from marching ever forward, down the road. Like it does that component. In episode 2, the one that they do to actually open the door is called, if you look at the closed caption, it calls it the sacred chant version of this
Mm.
ballad.
So different lyrics.
So it's like different portions. So it's like it gives you seeketh thy seeketh thou the road to all that's foul and fair, gather sisters fire, earth, water, and air.
Captain
Um
Planet. The Planeteers, of course.
and so that whole section is like you'll get only the sacred chant version, and that it does add in some of the components from the main version, like down the road. And so it's like
Right. It's all jumbled in and mixed up in. Okay. But it's very literal interpretation too of what's finna happen as we
also it's
go.
like it's telling you like it's kind of a spell in itself in a way that it's like
It is
if
a
you
spell, yeah.
want to conjure this road, you have to like do the instructions. Like it's like an instruction spell instructions basically.
I mean, isn't that what most spells are like? Well, and it reminds me, like, especially when, and I don't know why this came to mind first, but when Teen was reciting the Latin spell, I immediately went to Little Mermaid, and I was thinking of Ursula, and Ursula is a witch. She's a sea witch, and her. If you listen, actually read the words of her actual songs that she's singing with Ariel when she's tricking her and all that other stuff, she's singing real Latin, and like at one point she's basically like, I'm binding your voice and I'm taking it. Like that's literally what she says in Latin, or and you won't be able to speak. So all that to say, like these songs are, yes, what you're saying, they're the actual spell, they're the actual action, and they're the means by which all of this shit happens, right? So like that's what all these spells are anyway, right? They're just words that mean things that you say with power behind it, and then it comes to life. So interesting.
And I think that a spell is put into song is a very effective way of making sure that a spell gets done.
It's an effective way of making people listen to, right? Because you have to also hear the spell, right? You have to be like paying attention to it and take it in, right? Because I don't know of no witch that she's saying a spell, and if you're not around to hear it, if a tree's in the forest and no one's around to hear it, does it really fall? Like if a witch is saying a spell, no one's around to hear it, did it really happen? I think it's one of those things like the person that it's being targeted towards has to be present and really there and taking it in. So, this is all very interesting. Agatha All Along, is this a kid's show? No. No. So if anyone was asking, because sometimes we get that question, they're like, "Oh, is it okay for my kid to watch?" I don't think so.
I'm trying to think, but if there's because
so.
when you're a kid, you're oblivious to some of the adult jokes, and you're kind of like, oh, like
Yeah.
you see the grown-ups laughing, and you're like, what? I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think there's anything in here. It's not even that it's like an adult joke.
No, it's just not age appropriate. And when I say kids, I mean like actual kids, like 15 on down. I don't know, like I don't know. And also each child is different, so you can't potentially know. But teenagers might watch this, whatever. It's just I just would not necessarily be like, yo, if you was 10 years old, you can be on this. Like, no, it's giving adult. So
It's not giving like, oh, like this is because I know, like again, talking about like our witch references to come and like this whole like atmosphere and aesthetic. We love us Hocus Pocus. We love us Charmed and Practical Magic and all that. And although I probably was too young to watch some of those things whenever I was
Oh yeah, we
like,
wasn't be watching that shit, but we was, we was watching it. And you mentioned aesthetic. That's one of the last points I wanted to say. I just love the aesthetic of all the characters. Like I'm looking at a picture of them where it's more bright, so I can really see what they're wearing. And like really, like with Agatha, her color scheme, you have that jade green and that purple, the classic witch colors. And she's wearing her brooch, and the fact that she's so dramatic in everything she does. When she turns around, she flips her coat all the way. You have Kale, who's dressed like a tree hugger type stuff. Like, she's supposed to be an earthy kind of girl, even though she's a potions person.
but she's also kind of like prissy princess. Like she's very
Prissy, yeah, very prissy.
and like
what's the name of the character in Harry Potter? Like that group, the group of girls, the girls' school. She gives like goes to the girls' school, the girls, not witching.
Oh, Bow-Buttons.
Whoever them girls are, the all girls.
Yeah, the Bow-Buttons is school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think of the no.
Yes.
I know her name, but I don't know her name right now.
It's fine.
Yes.
I love the aesthetic of Rio because she's giving fashion and modern day. This is what it is. We did talk about teen being very hot topic, and then you have
I kind of like a hot topic by the accessory,
hot topic by
eyes, but like it's like the clothing gives like upscale hot topic. Like if there's like a
like hot topic with an Hermes bag or something.
Yeah, like but like in a J. Crew ish like kind of like tax bracket. You know what I'm talking about? It's like that sweater is like it's like this. It's a deconstructed sweater, but it's like a nicely made deconstructed sweater.
I'm gonna start calling him J. Crew. J. Crew. And then Alice will I don't know. I was getting Rufio vibes, but we'll see what goes with that. And then Lilia, who's the old school one, just boho, just out there type person. So overall, I am actually very pleased with the show. Again, once I got past, I think it's like I don't even know if it's a whole 10 minutes, but once I got past to me the boring part of that true crime stuff, once they cut out and it's like, all right, all this stupid shit is over. Here's a real story. That's when I was like, okay, we got some here. It is fun. It is fresh. I would recommend people watching it. It does grab you in the first episode, which is great because that would have been their downfall. If they did not grab you right away, this may not have went anywhere. And that's usually the downfall of a lot of new shows. It takes 3 episodes for you to get into it. And a lot of people do not have the patience. But I will say, even if you're not like the biggest fan of even cared about WandaVision or any of this stuff, I still think you will find interest in this because it is still a compelling enough approach. And that's my general take on it and why I think people should watch it.
Yeah. As a spooky season kind of girl, and I say spooky season in that like as soon as the end of August was drawing near, I was like, it's time. Like everyone was like, girl, spooky season.
I hate you, spooky season people so bad. Let summer die first. Damn.
And it's dying. And I get glee from it. I'm like, oh, it's dying. It's great.
I hate it. I love summer. So y'all are really making me upset.
I'm not a summer girl. So let's say I'm Southern. So I have an intense disdain for sweats. In the outside when it's really hot. So summer and I have not gotten along in a while. Like yeah. So as soon as I have I can just feel it in my bones like it's in like summer's ending and here comes the fall and the nights get dimmer and darker and it's time to turn on some candles and turn on the lamps.
Oh God.
Bring out the apple cider and have some hot cocoa on the ready.
Oh, please no. I hate it.
I love it so much. And I was just hoping that this show would eat that up, that it would just give us like the darkness and the mayhem and the mystery and the cosmos and the looking in the back of it's a leaf, I swear, but is it kind of like in the shadow of your eye kind of thing?
Yeah. Would you recommend?
Yeah, and I recommend if you're one of those kind of people, if you're one of me's and like the darkness and the summertime cannot end quickly enough, I feel like this is the kind of show they really did live up to giving us what we needed with that. And I think Catherine Hahn camps it up a little bit when it comes to actually giving you a witch cackle here and there.
Which she does. Mm-hmm.
And she really just like she sits in this role in a way that like we got the glimpses of her in WandaVision. She lives up to it. She doesn't just discontinue it, and she just kind of like it's just her element. It feels like.
Mm.
I feel like Ivory Plaza has always given like she wants to play a witch, and they finally give her the opportunity with this, and she's having a fun, grand old time with it. And the other women, I know Shashir more from her podcast than I do from like SNL or whatever.
Mm.
And so it just I enjoyed seeing her like on camera doing some work.
Yeah. I just like seeing her on this show as part of it. Yeah.
And I just kind of I'm buying what she's selling. I'm buying what all of them are selling, and I
Yes.
really am enjoying. Like I'm like I want to know more. I'm intrigued. I want
I'm
to like, and that's what I
intrigued,
want.
yeah.
I want if you're a good witch story, if you're a good story in general, you're gonna intrigue me. But if you're a good witch story, I've seen many a witch in my life. You're gonna drag me in after all the other things I've seen and be like, this is the story you want to watch. And I feel like this is a witch story that I'm happy to add to the canon. I feel like I've not seen a lot of recent witch stories that I really can say that about.
Right.
So I'm really happy to say that about this one.
Okay. And as mentioned, this was a review of episodes 1 and 2. This season is 9 episodes long. It's going to release every Wednesday from here on through Halloween, or the day before Halloween, right? The 30th of October. And that is when they're going to release, whether they are going to release the final 2 episodes, which is interesting. I never seen a 2 and 2 situation like that. So we'll see how that goes. And as I said, we're giving it high praise right now. I hope it continues this way, and I hope it's consistent. And then also sticks the landing, because WandaVision had this situation where it didn't stick the landing. So I just hoping that it doesn't follow suit.
I think that's also like to WandaVision's credit, and we talked about this earlier. I think it depends on how much Marvel's trying to Marvel. Like how much are you trying to set us up for the next thing with this thing? And if you're going to try to take the final 2 episodes and to lead us into something else, which granted, I would like to know more about like where we're going to see these people again.
Mm-hmm.
You got to do it in a way where you're helping me see a continuation of something and not necessarily like shoehorning of something.
Yes. Okay. I appreciate that. Well, y'all, this has been our review of episodes 1 and 2 of Agatha All Along on Disney Plus. We hope you enjoyed everything you heard tonight, today, whatever time it is when you're listening to us or watching our beautiful melanated faces. Make sure you are following ForAllNerds, ForAllNerds, on your favorite podcast platform. It doesn't matter where you look for us, we will be there, and that's how you're going to be able to listen to this review. You can also, as mentioned, see us on YouTube, youtube.com/ForAllNerdsTV. You can find myself, Tatiana King, at Tatiana King, all over the interwebs. You can find Portia. What is your name? What's your name?
Portia Knows.
Portia Knows. Probably I don't want to say all over the interwebs. Maybe just on Twitter. Well, I don't know what your name is everywhere else, and maybe it's the same thing. Okay, I'm about to say maybe you don't want to be found. That's the other thing. But make sure y'all following us directly. Please interact, leave comments, leave questions, whatever you got to say, but keep it cute. Okay, we don't do the bullshit. Okay, you can disagree and say what you want to say, but like no bullshit, please. Make sure you are also sending us love on all socials, again at ForAllNerds. Also, just so y'all know, this is a Black-owned, independently funded media outlet. We are also Rotten Tomato approved critics, so all of our reviews, including our reviews of Agatha All Along, will be going up to the big tomato aggregator. And you will see our reviews of each. I don't know if they allow us to do it by episode, but overall, you'll see our take on the series and our score there. And make sure, because we're independently owned, funded, all other stuff, if you want to help us and be part of the fam financially, you can go to patreon.com/ForAllNerds, where you can also become a patron and help us out. And you get access to exclusive things like exclusive interviews or exclusive episodes that no one else gets to see, and other things, and giveaways and all sorts of other amazing things there. And also go to forallnerds.com, new and improved, where you can get our merch. If you like our AKAs, I know everyone laughs and says they're really cool. Well, a lot of them are actually also had been turned and metamorphosized, since we're talking about magic now, into merch. So you can go there. That's another way you can support us. So as always, thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us. And we are going to be back with more reviews. We love you. Appreciate you. Have a great one. Peace.
Fan Bros,
Hey, what's up, internets and the fan fam? This is Tatiana King for ForAllNerds, and I want to thank you so much for listening and watching the ForAllNerds. Make sure you like and subscribe to us only on YouTube.